Namom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Ite Namane Namaste Saraswati Devim Gaudavani Prachadane Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschachadesha Tadane. So this is a short talk that I have taken down from 20 or 25 minutes to about 3 or 4 minutes is basically a talk of simply gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. It will not deal with my interactions with Srila Prabhupada, but in effect what he did for my life. He literally saved my spiritual life. And I cannot get into all the details except it all has manifested in the different works that I have done, primarily my audiobook ministry or audio story ministry. If it weren't for Srila Prabhupada who wrote these glorious books, I never would have, of course, recorded them. The question is, why did I record them in the first place? Well, I saw that there was a need. Devotees would drive for thousands of miles, New York, Florida, New Orleans to Denver to California. They were always driving. And what were they listening to? Often in the old days, what we did is we would read. The driver would drive, and then there would be a person on the side, and he would read. And he would read usually from Krishna book or from Bhagavad Gita or Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the driver would stay awake, provided that the reader did not read in a monotone. If he did, it would be a serious situation. So if he read in a monotone, he'd put him to sleep instead of keeping him awake. And that was a problem because many of devotees they're not trained to be readers. They're trained to do other things. Some are good in accounting, some are good in deity dressing, some are good at cooks, and a few are good in reading. They're trained. I was a trained reader. I was on radio. I did shows on radio, and I was trained in the university on how to speak and how to produce shows, how to write them, how to direct them. So I had all this training. And the question is what to do with it. So it took me 8 years before I was in the movement, and Charu's wife, Bobby, she and he had purchased a radio station in Spanish Fork, Utah, and they needed some little assistance, some help. And so I began doing shows with her. And she would take one paragraph and I would read another paragraph. And then after 1 year, they gave me a chance to do my own show. And then after that, I began reading the books. The first book I recorded, complete book, was the Krishna book. And then after the Krishna book, it was the Ramayana. And then after that, it became the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And one after another until a whole, you might say, ammunition center was created, ammunition against Maya, of course. It was created for the sole and only purpose so that, well, not only, but one of the most important purposes is that devotees who would travel either on airplane, either on the sea, or either in the road, they could get the books, they can listen to them, and I would narrate them in as dramatic and as forceful and as emphatic way as possible so they wouldn't go to sleep while they're driving. Thank God for that. And they would listen to it, and I can't tell you how many people, thousands of people have come, and of course when I travel around the United States, people, youngsters who are no longer youngsters, you know, they're in their 20s, they said, but I was raised on listening to these books, the children's Krishna book, I listen to it every day. I take it to school with me. I leave from that. You know, it was dramatic. It kept me in another world. So all this, this may sound a little self-serving, but that's not the idea of it. The idea is that it was a need, and I wanted to fulfill the need and extend the reading of Srila Prabhupada's books so that people could actually listen to it wherever they happened to be. And I would see devotees walking down, they had the earbuds in their hand. What do you listen? He said, well, I'm listening to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. Another person, well, I'm listening to the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. Well, I was enthralled to hear this because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And they were probably doing it more than I was. Because, you know, something, when you do it yourself, it tends to be sometimes a little hackneyed because you've been hearing it so many times. Anyway, nonetheless, now I have a habit, whenever I eat, I will always eat. On one meal, it's the Krishna book, and another meal, it's the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I get a chance to get those two books in, and if I have any extra time, then there are some of the other books. So therefore, I had come from the Mayavad school, but when I joined this movement, I had my own ashram. I was a sannyasi. I had I knew a lot about the etiquette of a sadhu, and nonetheless, my philosophy had been in how to be one with, how to unite with, how to merge with the infinite light which emanates from Krishna's body. That was the highest. So we worshiped Krishna also, but not for the same purposes that everyone here is worshiping, namely to develop deeper and greater and higher and better and bigger love for Krishna. So that's what we do, and the more that our love develops and the more Krishna reciprocates with us, the more we want to serve him, we want to honor him, we want to glorify him, we want to share him. And this is what Srila Prabhupada gave me and everyone here. He's given us an opportunity to spread this movement all over the world, and it is so needed, it is so necessary, it's so important. People have to hear this. And we have to preach in a way which will be accessible and easy to understand to the persons we are speaking to. So that's an art in itself. So anyway, long story short, and I'll wrap it up at this point, is that I cannot thank Srila Prabhupada enough. I was basically on a suicidal course, and then Prabhupada's books reached me while I was at my the ashram that I was managing at that time, or directing, and I got a chance to read that book. One of my students sneaked in one of Prabhupada's singing albums, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So she sneaked it in, and I confiscated it from her. How dare you be disloyal to our teacher? Put it in the closet, and then at some point when I was in a fast, I wanted to find out what was she listening to, so I took the album down. I said, well, it's pretty good. I was trying to say, no, it's really not as good. And then I kept listening. It was entrancing. It was enthralling. It was enchanting. I couldn't stop listening to it. And as I said, I had been fasting that time. So all day I listened to the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna. And then Brahmananda had sent me a Bhagavad Gita, which I didn't even want to look at. But then as a result of listening over and over and over to the Hare Krishna mantra, I got purified to the extent that I became curious to read the Bhagavad Gita. 1,100 pages free, he gave it to me. So I started reading that, and on the back of the book, there was an advertisement for the Krishna book, the two silver-covered Krishna book. So I bought that immediately, and I got so absorbed in all the different pastimes and the activities, the philosophy that was in that I said, yeah, this is where I not want to be, I have to be here. There's no question about it. So I gave my resignation for where I was. My freebie of teacher accepted my resignation, tried to convince me to stay because, ironically, a temple I had raised money, over $70,000 to put up a temple in Mussoorie, India. For those of you who don't know Mussoorie, it's one of the most beautiful places high in the Himalayas where the British Raj used to vacation during the summer months. It has all modern conveniences, modern facilities, and I was supposed to go there to teach for the rest of my life. In fact, the building had been put up. It was a temple. It had my name on the gate. Everything was all set for me to move in. But then this Prabhupada's books, they became so entrancing, so compelling, so overwhelming that I was hawing. Should I really go to that temple? When I got these books, I got a whole new world here. I got something that I can look forward to, something that I can love, a person I can worship and become nearer and dearer more and more every moment. It's all there. Should I go to that temple? It's in the Himalayas. It's most gorgeous. And I thought, no, I didn't come to spiritual life to get a building. I came to spiritual life to develop love of God. And I wasn't getting much of that in the Hatha Yoga system. I mean, just learning how to move the airs up my chakras, this and that. It was a very impersonal experience. But looking at this beautiful, charming, beautiful, gorgeous Krishna, that was not dull. It was not blank. It was so completely animated and colorful and enlivening that I said, finally, no, I have to leave. And so I gave, as I said a few moments ago, I gave my notice and told them that I would like to leave, at least take a 1 year notice, and I don't know how long it was going to be. So I finally left and joined the Hare Krishna movement. It was on, well, I came out here, it was on February 4th, but I had gone to the New York temple for about a few days. Prabhupada happened to have been one of my students there. He's sitting right over there. And when he left me, he lived in the ashram. So he then left. I said, well, where is he? Why isn't he coming back? And then Dravida Prabhu, he was also one of my students, and he was doing devotional service, and he never came back. I said, what's going on? Is this Srila Prabhupada? Is he taking away all my students? Why can't I compete with him? Well, as I read more and more, I saw I could never compete with him. If anything, the best I could do is join him, surrender to him, and beg him for a little bit of mercy so that I could have even a fraction of what he had in love for Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Judah Karma, Prabhu. Thank you, Maharaj. That was incredible.
Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtata Deshatarane. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. Please accept this verse offering. Yes, I know the wise may say that in separation a disciple may his departed guru still perceive. In his words that I do believe, but on this day I feel your absence. To deny this would be a pretense. Yet 40 years ago on this day I dared to think that I was well prepared to continue serving in separation without any feeling of lamentation. But as these many years have passed, each more quickly than the last, in my heart I feel your absence grow each year more and more intense. Your servant, Judah Karma Das.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Judah Karma. Bhanabhata, Prabhu.
Magyana-timanandasya Niranjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitamjena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, by his causeless mercy, has forced my eyes open with the torchlight of knowledge. Therefore, I offer my most humble obeisances unto his lotus feet. How could I ever forget his mercy on me? These days are always very difficult for me to prepare things. It's said that the disciple should always feel himself to be a fool in the presence of his spiritual master, and that's really never any problem for me. Um, but when asked one time about something about his spiritual master by one of his disciples, Srila Prabhupada said, he was no ordinary spiritual master. He saved me. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was conversing with Ramananda Roy, he asked Ramananda Roy, what is the most painful thing in this world? And Ramananda Roy replied that other than the pain felt in separation from the devotee of Krishna, he says, I know no other unbearable pain in this world. So I've been had the opportunity the last year and a half to kind of change my direction, and was living up in New Hampshire taking care of my aging mother and having almost no other devotee association. So it forced me to go really deep into my japa, which was what I was mostly doing up there. And kind of the gift I feel that Srila Prabhupada gave me in that period of time more than anything is just this realization how, I mean, it says that once we take initiation from the spiritual master, that our body is no longer ours, that it belongs to the spiritual master. And I've been struggling, my whole struggle in my life, even as a devotee, basically has been struggling against that. And in my decrepit attempt at surrender, it's been mostly a very painful process more than anything, which is completely necessary to smash my false ego. But I've come to the conclusion that, as it is said, that good health without Krishna consciousness is much worse than having bad health and being in a Krishna conscious situation. So I've just have to really beg Srila Prabhupada to don't kick me away, and keeping patient with me, and because I know your mercy is unlimited, I'm praying that someday I may have the intelligence and the strength to fully surrender to your instructions and properly respect all your devotees, as well as all living entities. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Archita Prabhu. Archita Prabhu. Thank you. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, in a conversation, Ramananda Prabhu informed Srila Prabhupada that in Mayapur, there was at that time an astrologer who was favorable to Prabhupada's movement and who had told one devotee that Srila Prabhupada was the most powerful person on the planet. So Prabhupada's response was, if I am the representative of Krishna, then of course I am the most powerful. Not false humility saying, no. Prabhupada knew his position. And this is why it's so difficult to recognize a pure devotee of the Lord. On the one hand, they know their position, they know their relationship with Krishna, they know the power that they have, but on the other hand, they are still meek and humble. In the Chaitanya Mangala, it's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stated that a general, a devotee who would be like a general, would come forth in his movement and spread the chanting of the holy name all around the world. So, from our perspective, and I think from anybody else's perspective who's not totally biased, Srila Prabhupada is that person. Before I joined the movement, I had been attracted to a musical group. Probably most of you don't know, or those maybe from my era, some of you may remember. But what stuck with me was the name of the group when they first started was Chick Corea and Return to Forever. So that phrase always stuck in my mind, return to forever, return to forever, return to forever. This seems like something that is worth pursuing. Yes, who wouldn't want to return to forever? But I didn't really get the gist of it until I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books. So on this occasion, the 40th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's departure from this world, I thank him for being that most powerful person representing Lord Chaitanya's movement, opening the door to forever. However, just as in our normal day-to-day interaction, if somebody opens the door for you, what do you have to do? You have to walk through. If you turn around and go the opposite direction, or if you're distracted and trip. And so I'm praying to Srila Prabhupada on this occasion to grant me the focus and the determination to just walk through that door that he has opened for all of us. Those who are already part of his movement and those who are yet to become members of his movement, followers, just focus and walk through the door. Don't be distracted by anything else. So I'm praying to Srila Prabhupada for that, because I know the tendency is there in myself, not pointing fingers at anybody else, to be distracted by Krishna's energy and not focus on Krishna. Distracted by the energy and not focus on the energetic source. So I'm always praying to Srila Prabhupada for that determination, that focus to fix my consciousness on this opportunity, going back home, back to Godhead, returning to forever, and not remain distracted by Krishna's phantasmagoria energy. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Karuna Mataji.
I really hardly know what to say. I never met Srila Prabhupada personally. I had several dreams about him. I guess I should say first that I one time dreamt that Prabhupada was, because I used to walk with my grandpa on Venice Beach, because I grew up in Venice, in Culver City, and I used to walk with my grandpa on Venice Beach, so when I would see the photos of the devotees walking with Prabhupada on Venice Beach, it was a definite thing that I could relate to. And when I was just a bhakti, and I had dreams that Prabhupada was walking on Venice Beach. I had a dream like that, and I thought, oh my, that's like my grandpa. And we used to, my sister and I used to go and just lay on the sand there at Venice Beach, and I thought, my God, I maybe laid on the sand that he walked on. So, I often thought, because my husband and I were just talking last night that he joined because of intelligence. He got a Bhagavad Gita and Back to Godhead magazines, and he made it a point to come out here to the West Coast and join. But I joined because I was materially exhausted and I had nowhere to go, and the ashram life was something that saved me from becoming more materially contaminated. It wasn't that I was so intelligent to join. But there were so many female Prabhupada disciples in the women's ashram who all had personal association with Prabhupada. When I joined, I met those devotees and associated with them, and I felt so blessed to have their association. And later in my life, I had gotten very involved in Sankirtan and book distribution. If they'd given me a job description of what I would have to do to be a temple devotee, I often think I probably would have turned it down. Not because I don't love it, but because it's been so hard and because I constantly run up into blocks where I realize that I shouldn't be here. I'm not qualified to even be here on this block. But then I was telling Prabhupada I don't have any regrets. I was saying that when I was on the altar the other day. I don't have any regrets because this life has been the best life I could have possibly had, considering the material circumstances I came from and where I was going and what would have happened to me if I continued in my sinful activities. So Prabhupada saved me and he saved all of us. And I thank you very much for listening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Divya Justi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So I'm actually sharing because Giri Maharaj's talk inspired me to share. The mood in California was very, I think, different than what was going on in India. And as temple devotees, we really, every morning they would announce what was going on with Srila Prabhupada's condition. And this was, motivated the devotees to even work harder and distribute more books and give 150%, if you will. And I remember I was a Sankirtan devotee then, and we didn't even go back to the temple at the very end, probably about the last 6 weeks before Prabhupada left his body. We stayed at the airport 24 hours a day just so that we could distribute Prabhupada's books. And somehow in our mind, we were thinking if we did this, that Krishna wouldn't take Prabhupada from us. And then when Prabhupada did leave, I think that a lot of the devotees, they felt that we weren't even doing enough at that point, even though we were working, distributing Prabhupada's books 18 to 20 hours a day. We felt we should have been doing more. And we would always be saying a prayer, and I'm not sure that I have it correct, but I'm sure some of the Prabhupada disciples remember it. My dear Lord Krishna, if you so desire, please let Srila Prabhupada stay with us. And that was our constant meditation and our constant motivation. And for me personally, I feel like that prayer and that motivation has allowed me to stay a devotee in this lifetime. Just because I didn't feel that I gave 100%. But maybe at the end of this, I felt like I was in control of Krishna. But I've realized over the past 40 years that I'm just the backseat driver, just like Arjuna was sitting in the back of the chariot, and ultimately Krishna's in control of everything. But in thinking that way, also we have to think that if you, and I like giving this example, and I like running my life in this way, that if you go to a vending machine and you put in 50 cents in the vending machine, and the potato chips cost $1, or the candy bar costs $1, what are you going to get? You're not going to get. If you put 75 cents in the vending machine, you're not going to get your candy bar. But only if you put the $1 in, then you'll get the candy bar. So if we can somehow or other put that $1 in, give 100% for the remainder of our life, then Prabhupada's waiting for us. Beyond a shadow of my doubt, I believe that Prabhupada's waiting so that we can go and serve him. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Dada Drishti. Brigupati Prabhu.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunyavadi Prasthacharishthani. So a while back, Yadobar did, before he put out this movie, he did a series of videos. What's it called? You remember? Following Srila Prabhupada. So when you watch those, you have a choice. You could listen to devotees who were there at the time, giving their memories or music, or Prabhupada lectures. Okay? So if you happen to watch those and you're listening to, Prabhupada lectures, with the lectures, what you'll be hearing is, you'll be seeing Prabhupada through all these different situations, and you'll be hearing Prabhupada, and you'll be hearing basically somebody speak about explaining the philosophy of Krishna consciousness and encouraging the listeners to take it seriously and practice it, put it into practice in their life, and giving specific instructions on how to do that. Okay? And if you turn off the sound altogether and you just watch the video, you'll see that the video exactly matches the audio. There's no, as they use the expression these days, no disconnect. It matches. In other words, what Prabhupada was saying in his lectures, all the philosophy he's explaining and encouraging people to take part in, to practice, and giving specific instructions how exactly to do that. When you watch the video, it's exactly what he's doing. There's no, as I said, no disconnect. It matches. No hypocrisy. And that was something that, always impressed me about Srila Prabhupada. And still to this day, I think that's a very important thing because, when you look around, there's so many other, every day in the news or something like that, there's some expose on some leader or some famous personality in some different walk of life, and it's showing how that their personal life doesn't at all match the kind of things that they stand for. But in the case of Prabhupada, for instance, materialistic people are basically interested in three things: wealth, social position, and sex enjoyment. Nadanam, Najanam, Nasandadim, according to Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada didn't take any royalties. I remember once I heard a comment that if he just took even a small percent, he'd be such a wealthy man, but he didn't take any royalties. He didn't change his lifestyle when he became a famous guru. He just, same diet, same clothing. He stayed in whatever places the devotees, his disciples, arranged for him. No, didn't insist upon staying in 5-star hotels here, there, and wherever he went. And pretty much the only reason Prabhupada introduced Guru Puja is because it was for our benefit. I mean, his early, neophyte disciples had to overcome being, trying to be the master and, not want to be surrendered. So Prabhupada, in order to teach us, how to be servants, how to be surrendered, he instituted this Guru Puja. It wasn't for his own self-aggrandizement. So he wasn't interested in those things. He wasn't interested in wealth, social position, sex enjoyment, profit, adoration, and distinction. He was just interested in serving Krishna. And therefore, that's my one point I wanted to make in my 3 or 4 minutes this morning, that no hypocrisy. The actions, the life matched the words. What Prabhupada said, he did. He lived the same life as he was, explaining us, that we should be living. He did it. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai.
Thank you, Brigupati Prabhu. Mukunda Datta Prabhu.
Om Jnanatimanantasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Srila Prabhupada, I was relating to what Divya Drishti said. Nobody really believed that Srila Prabhupada would leave, actually, when in 1977, because Srila Prabhupada was able to break every other paradigm. There was no reason to expect that he would have to be bound by these things like birth, death, and old age and disease. So, like her also, I was on Sankirtan at that time. Srila Prabhupada asked for everyone to come to Vrindavan. Not all of us could do so. But as the years passed, now it's been 40 years, that we like to think about the ways in which we're not following his instructions so that we can become better disciples. It's been pointed out by devotees like Keshava Bharati Goswami for several years now that most devotees, it's not really too hard to say that most devotees are not regularly reading Prabhupada's books. And at the same time, it's true that most devotees, if you ask them how they came to Krishna consciousness, they came to Krishna consciousness through Srila Prabhupada's books. Almost invariably. Or people say that one scholar did a survey some 20, 30 years ago and asked what it was that attracted you to Krishna consciousness. And most people actually say it was the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada lives on in his books. He said that explicitly. And we simply have to live with him in his books and internalize what he's written for us so that we can externalize it for those who would listen to what his representatives have to say. In the past couple of years, I've been studying very carefully the books like the Lagu Bhagavatamritam and Bhagavat Sandarbha that Srila Prabhupada didn't translate, but his disciples translated. And I've seen there that Rupa Goswami is very, very focused in driving home mainly one point, which is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is something that Tamal Krishna Goswami also emphasized, his observation of Srila Prabhupada's theological contribution to the world. And the medieval period in which the Goswamis wrote, the whole social milieu in which the Goswamis wrote these books, they were not so different in many ways than the context in which Srila Prabhupada wrote his books. They took very, very high concepts and deep realizations, and they expressed them in a way that people could actually understand. This is especially Srila Prabhupada's contribution. He made even very difficult things very simple. He expressed them in a very simple way, but that doesn't mean that they're not as deep as they are. So if we dive deep into Srila Prabhupada's books and come to realize just exactly what it is that he has given us, then we can actually become more effective in surrendering unto the lotus feet of Krishna, which is what Srila Prabhupada wanted us to do, and we can become more effective in transmitting that Krishna consciousness to other people. It can't really happen any other way. The book Bhagavatam and the person Bhagavatam, they're considered to be non-different, and service to each of them has to go on all the time. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So that's just my appreciation for the day. Generally, whenever people ask me to say something about Srila Prabhupada, I always like to emphasize the importance of his books because that's been the most impressive thing for me. I saw Srila Prabhupada here in this room, but the real thing that has sustained me for many years, and the real thing that convinced me of this process was his transcendental books. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Mukunda Dutt Prabhu. Kriya Shakti Mataji.
Nama Om Vishnuvadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivishesha Shunyavari Pastachati Starni. Srila Prabhupada, you are my shield from danger. Whom shall I fear? I am happy and hope to remain faithful to you because you have rescued me. Please give me the power to do what pleases you, and make ever fresh a steadfast spirit within me. My salvation comes from you alone. Please create within me a pure heart. Where would I be without your grace? I'm dressed only in your mercy, and you are my only good quality. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada didn't leave us in the winter of his life. He left us in the autumn. This is how I think of his passing, when everything is full and there's a harvest and the farmer comes to reap the fields and take the last. The seasons of life move through spring, summer, fall, and on. And autumn is the time of plenty, the time to reap a final harvest from seeds that are sown in spring. In this blessed month of Kartik, rich in the colors of divine Leela, when devotion is multiplied a millionfold, is the time Lord Krishna called you to leave this earthly realm. Srila Prabhupada tells the story that when Krishna petitioned him to come here to this world, Prabhupada said, "Oh, no, no, no. I do not want to go there. It is a horrible place." And Sri Krishna told him, "No, you must go. You must go down. You must write these books." And Srila Prabhupada said, "No, no, no. It is a horrible place. I do not want to go there." And Sri Krishna told him, "You don't worry. I will take care of everything. You just go." So each leaf that falls in this autumn time, as it falls back and forth in emotion, as if saying, "No, no, no, please don't go. Please don't go, Srila Prabhupada." And on that day, the heavy earth is falling and falling. Lost in your separation. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for coming here.
Thank you very much, Kriya Shakti. Maheshwar Prabhu.
Nama Om Vishnuvadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pacharane Nivishesha Sunyavati Pashkata Deshtarane. So, what I wanted to share was, we all know that 500 years ago Lord Chaitanya started the Sankirtan movement, and then there was after him and his associates left, there was about a 250-year kind of, maybe we'll call it like the Dark Ages. The Sankirtan movement almost blacked out until Bhaktivinoda Thakur showed up. And then, of course, Bhaktisiddhanta came along and really revived things in a tremendous way. So I would like to just see with a show of hands, how many people are in this temple room right now because you ran into a Sankirtan party or a book distributor? Okay, I'd say it looks like maybe half. I was actually thinking it might be more than that. What I wanted to share was my experiences and how I came to this temple and why I'm sitting here now. And the first time I came in contact with the the Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan party was, I had ventured to New York from Westchester County in 11th grade, which was kind of a big thing to do. My parents were very conservative and didn't even let me go to New York on my own. And I went with two buddies of mine, and we all took the lady of our choice to see the the play Hair, which back in those days it went on for like 2 or 3 years. It was a huge sensation. If you're from my generation, you probably know the play Hair. It was an anti-war thing, and it was right in the peak of the Vietnam War. And they actually had the Hare Krishna mantra embedded into the play. I think it was one of the first kind of like establishment and acknowledgments of the Hare Krishna movement. And it was a very successful play. And so after we left the theater, we came out one of the side door exits, I think it was on 42nd Street. And I noticed down at the end of the street, maybe a block or two down, and I hadn't gotten into the habit of wearing my glasses, and I didn't realize how bad my eyes were, but I heard this tremendous, unexpected sound of, ding, 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 and the drums going. And I looked down the street, and I went, what is that? What on earth is that? And one of the guys that had gone to me to see the play Hair, I always looked up to him, he seemed to know the answer to everything. And he looked at me and he said, "They're Buddhists." And I was so exhilarated from the play and traveling to the Biltmore and going to this whole triple date with my friends. My brain wasn't processing things really well, and I thought they said, "They're nudists." Because if you look at the saffron cloth and you don't have good eyes and you're 2 blocks away, it looks like they're walking around naked. So that was my first experience with the Sankirtan movement. And it was, as you could expect, and I said, "That's all I need to know, we're going this way." And it was in the opposite direction, and we just hot-footed it out of there. So about 2 years later, I enrolled in college at the University of Kansas, was studying industrial design. And one of the field trips they asked us to go on was the Cessna Airport Company, which was in Wichita, Kansas. And the reason why I went there, it was supposed to inspire us to become fired up in our career. And I was studying industrial design, so we went there and we saw this man. He was a graduate from the previous year, and he was trying to design like a sink that would fit in the curved armature of a small Cessna aircraft, and it had the exact opposite impact on me that it was supposed to have. And I said, "That's going to be me in 2 or 3 years? I'm not going to be doing this kind of work. There's got to be more to life than that kind of a thing." And so I took off the next year from college, and I went to Europe with some of the same people that I'd gone to see the play Hair with. And, we had been traveling around Europe for maybe 2 months. And when you're kind of traveling around Europe doing hostels and stuff like this, after a while, what do you do all day? You don't have a job, you don't have to go anywhere, nobody's expecting you to do anything, you can just basically hang out all day long. And so we would go to museums and try to keep ourselves occupied and go to famous temples and architecture and art museums, stuff like this. And one day, we were just walking around in Paris, and we came around a corner, and this time it was the same Harinam Sankirtan devotees, but they're all wearing saris and the dhotis and, making this huge musical thing. And the way Krishna arranged it was I kind of came around the corner and we just walked right into the middle of it. We were just surrounded by all the devotees. And of course, I got my first Back to Godhead magazine, and my own maturity had gotten to the point, and the reason why I took this trip was because there had to be more to life than doing curved sinks in a Cessna aircraft. And of course, I got the Back to Godhead magazine, and then as Mukunda Dutt was saying so nicely, that led me to reading Prabhupada's books, and there's a whole long story that goes on here, but I'm going to end it here and recognize that even though Lord Chaitanya started the Sankirtan movement 500 years ago in Bhaktisiddhanta, Prabhupada was the one who brought it to the West, and he personally set the example in Thompson Square Park under the elm tree, which is now recognized by everybody, by doing what? Just sitting there, ching, 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 all by himself. And from that, it just rippled out. So that's my sincere appreciation for what Prabhupada gave us. Thank you.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhargava Prabhu?
I got lots of stuff, so anybody wants to talk to me anytime, I'm glad to talk about Prabhupada. And one time I asked Prabhupada if he was present in his pictures, and he said, if you think of me, I'm there. So I told that to Punya Prabhu. Now he does a lot of Manas Puja, worship within the mind. Your mind is your property. It doesn't belong to ISKCON. It belongs to you and to Krishna, and you can commune with Krishna and Prabhupada anytime you want. Bhakti Vinod gave an excellent tool because Prabhupada also, he said initiation means beginning. And when he talked about his relationship with his guru, we were on a walk in Paris, he said, I had maybe 15 days personal association with my Guru Maharaj. In the end of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he said the instruction is more important than the personal association, although I wouldn't trade any of that personal association. But there's many people all over the world who've communed with Krishna and Prabhupada through their sincerity. Bhaktivinoda Prabhupada once said we all have to fly our own airplanes back to Godhead. We have to be responsible for our own consciousness. There's a TV commercial on now for a credit card, and the line is, what's in your wallet? And Krishna's got a line too. His line is, who's in your heart? That's what Krishna really cares about. In the Gita, he says, think of me. Then he says, worship me, pay your homage unto me. Think of me. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's taught, hear the pastimes. By developing hearing the pastimes, you develop the love. And Prabhupada's greatest quality was his compassion. That he came and he felt for the suffering souls of the West. Even though we were eating meat and doing so many things that were not very sattvic, he saw our potential, and so many devotees got that feeling that he could look through you and see who you are. You couldn't even see who you are. You were so covered, and that you are the eternal loving friend, servant of Krishna. And he had that magical power to be able to see that. And he just wanted us to love Krishna. And Bhaktivinoda gave this excellent meditation. He said every day you should look into your own heart and you should feel that your love for God is growing. And if it's not, you should do a self-examination. What offense have I made? What neglect have I made that stopped the growth of love for God? And then he says, and then to correct it to the point where we feel that love growing again. And that's what it's all about. It's about personal relationship. We're not salvationists. We don't want to go to heaven because it's better sense gratification. We want to go there because the cool people hang out there. That's why we want to go. Cool, loving people. And so Prabhupada was very kind to us and gave us access to something that in many ways we didn't deserve. And now we have to give access to others and share Krishna consciousness wherever we go with whoever we meet. Even if they're not very sattvic, we should always try to find something, some way of uplifting them to a higher level. Prabhupada would go for a walk in Hyde Park and with his disciples, and there'd be English people walking there, and Prabhupada didn't say Hare Krishna to them. He'd say, good morning. And they'd respond. So it's about becoming expert in learning how to get people, if not to understand Krishna, to think Krishna's devotees are nice. And that's their gateway to loving Krishna and to Krishna's descent of grace. And you have to avoid Vaishnava aparads, which is really hard when you're dealing with a societal situation with a lot of people who are not steeped in generations of culture. And avoid the Vaishnava aparads and try to do what's best for Krishna. Humility, faith that Krishna will provide, faith that Krishna will protect you. Accept everything favorable for the development of love for Krishna. Reject everything unfavorable. Find some service and keep on trucking. And the mystical experiences will come. I'm a devotee getting close to 50 years, and they do come. Even though there's a lot of frustration in between, you'll get your mystical experiences. Your descents of grace, Krishna will come to you. He will reveal things to you. Maybe not the rasa dance, but he likes to play hide and seek. So he's like a good gardener. He checks in on the garden every now and then, sees, oh, how's that mango developing? So he does check in. And of course, if he'd stay very long, you would not be able to stay very long in your material body. He once told a devotee that, not an ISKCON devotee, because that devotee was feeling tremendous separation. Why you come so infrequently? Why you don't stay very long? And Krishna's answer was, if I'd stay very long, you would not be able to stay very long in your material bodies. So you got to keep on trucking and be kind to others, and especially to devotees, because that's the whole key. Is Krishna is living in the spiritual world with the devotees who have the highest loving sensibilities, and he's trying to protect them from the rude, the crude, the envious, the fearful, the jealous. He wants to protect them. As far as he's concerned, he's not affected by those things. It's like a child that's not getting his candy bar and says, I hate you. And the parent laughs, right? So, but he's trying to protect those devotees in the spiritual world. So this is the training ground, how we treat each other. And he's watching very carefully and very closely. And she's there too. That's the great regret. When you get a hit from Radharani, you know you're doing good. I'm still waiting for that one. Thank you very much.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jagat Janani, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I wrote a little something, but I was just thinking about Maheshwar when he was talking about going to see the play Hair. I grew up in the Bay Area, and at age 14, someone took me to see that play, and I just realized that that was really my first connection with Krishna consciousness, my first hearing of the holy name. I just connected it. My dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, most merciful Gurudev. I fall at your divine lotus feet and pray to serve you with all my heart. I apologize daily that I am selfish, envious, forgetful, fallen, and ungrateful. You have taught me that this is not who I really am, but I'm still trying to shake off these inauspicious and unfortunate qualities. You have kindly given me a glimpse of truth, a ray of hope, light at the end of this dark tunnel, so I can continue to be faithful, determined, enthusiastic, and happy to be under your expert transcendental guidance. Please allow me to eternally be with you, Srila Prabhupada. I will continue to serve, chant, and pray to become a qualified soul situated at your feet forever. Thank you for saving us.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Jagadish Prabhu.
40 years ago today, Srila Prabhupada, you left us and returned to the place of your eternal pastimes with Lord Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan. Or perhaps not. Perhaps Krishna had another plan. Perhaps you were urgently needed for missionary work on another planet, in another universe, amongst the trillions of mustard seed universes that comprise the material creation. In fact, one thing that differentiates an eternally liberated soul, such as yourself, from us conditioned souls is that your plan and Krishna's plan are one. Whereas the conditioned soul follows Krishna's plan ultimately, but obstinately refuses to recognize it, thinking it his own. I believe you once spoke words to the effect that life in complete service harmony with Krishna becomes a new thrill at every moment. Of course, at this point, I can only wonder in awe at what that means and aspire for it, certainly. But may I be so bold as to share with you a brief glimpse into my little life as a householder, attempting to paw, claw, and pray my way out of raw Kanishtaism to a slightly higher platform of service. Though my principal service at this time is to chant 16 rounds, hear Srimad Bhagavatam class, and cultivate loving friendships with the devotees, my service is basically focused on my own advancement. By the grace of your divine touch, your divine teachings, and your divine presence, my life has become a tiny reflection, abhas in Sanskrit, a tiny reflection of a thrilling, meaningful life. For life in the association of your disciples and grand-disciples is thrilling. I'm in awe of those who have taken up your mission seriously. The initiators, the renunciates, the preachers, the teachers, the writers, the translators, the editors, the scholars, the distributors, the pujaris, the managers, the cooks, the cleaners, those who have made spreading your mission their mission. I'm in awe of those devotees. Because they've made your plan their plan. Therefore, they're on Krishna's plan. In life, we make so many plans. We make vacation plans, business plans, travel plans, diet plans, health plans, investment plans, insurance plans, life plans. But if we follow your plan and to plan to make all these plans Krishna's plans, only then can we plan to succeed. Devotee association. Often it may be just a few sweet words and a smile. And occasionally it becomes a deeper friendship wherein one reveals one's mind and one hears in confidence. And very occasionally it becomes a deep connection that spans decades, so that even a prolonged absence does not dent the love and intimacy one feels. Such is the miracle of devotee association, perhaps the greatest gift you bestowed upon us, because after all, we are whom and what we associate with. I heard a wonderful class in Alachua temple recently by a Vaishnava by the name of Shyam Kishore, who said that the association of devotees is the topmost yoga. Again, please excuse me if I give you a brief personal perspective. My dear wife, called Palatika, and I divide our time between Santa Cruz and Los Angeles. In Santa Cruz, we live in a spacious home on a quiet, tree-lined road about a mile from the beautiful University of California campus. Nearby, in the opposite direction, is the stunning Pacific Ocean with miles of beautiful beaches bordered by farmland. Of course, nothing is perfect in this material world, but our home and environment in Santa Cruz come pretty close. Contrast that with Los Angeles. I grew up here, and I'm ultra sensitive to air pollution. I also get easily uncorked by intense traffic and noise, both of which abound in Los Angeles. But between the two places, where do I feel the most well-being? In the idyllic environs of Santa Cruz, or the Tomasic cauldron of Los Angeles? Why, Los Angeles, of course. Not LA per se, but in this incredible Dham, New Dwarka Dham, infused with a potent cumulative chanting of the holy name, of deity worship, and of devotional service spanning almost 50 years. That's indirect proof that devotional service in a quasi-hellish place is infinitely more powerful or enjoyable than anything material in a quasi-heavenly locale. You wrote in a purport in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that to convert to Vaishnavism, a Mlech Yavana, someone outside the Vedic order, is a very difficult task. I sometimes take for granted the miracle you manifested by taking the disheveled Tomasic clay that was the majority of your disciples and molding it into something that even multi-generational bona fide Vaishnavas recognize and respect as the real deal. You've turned wine back into water, and then you've turned that into nectar. I'm so fortunate to be the clod in the association of the shimmering clay you and now your disciples have molded. Your grace, beauty, and love shine through the eyes and acts of everyone here. Your presence is strongly felt, your kindness strongly manifest, and your compassionate missionary spirit strongly expressed. So on this, the 40th anniversary of your tragic yet divine disappearance from our midst, Srila Prabhupada, I bow before your unprecedented, tremendous spiritual feats, performed always with humble, divine grace. Through your thoughts, words, and deeds, you demonstrated to the world for years to come how to make Krishna's plan everyone's plan. For Krishna's plan is always glorious. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Punyatama Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I would, in the essence of the Hare Krishna movement and its purpose on this planet is all in one sloka. Bande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sahodito Gorodiye Pushpavanto Sitro Sando Tamonudo. I offer my obeisances to Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. They are like the sun and the moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Gaudadesh to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. What does all mean? Srila Prabhupada is representing this mission, and he stepped up the Jaladuta and started his Hare Krishna movement 50 years ago. He said, if you think of me, I am there. What does that mean? If you think of me, I am there. Now I see Srila Prabhupada in his global form of ISKCON every single day in my prayer, in my japa. And I'm just celebrating that all over the world, including the Antarctica now, devotees have been there distributing his books, distributing the holy name, distributing prasadam, and establishing Krishna consciousness. He said, I will live forever in my books. Every day we open Srila Prabhupada's books. We offer our obeisances to the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and all the residents of the books.
and we associate with Srila Prabhupada. He said, Shri Radhika Madhavi Orapara, Madhurya Lila Guna Rupananam. The spiritual master is always eager to hear about the pastimes of Krishna. And when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we're associating personally with the Guru that lives within his books. We can ask Srila Prabhupada questions. We open his books, we ask him questions, we offer our obeisances to him, and many, many, many times I've had experiences where I get a direct answer from Srila Prabhupada. So I like to visualize the fact that he's actually hearing my question and he's answering it. Srila Prabhupada said, ISKCON is my body. So if we can all, for a moment, visualize the million-plus devotees that are serving this movement all over the world in the form of Srila Prabhupada, and see that every single day, millions and millions and millions of incarnations of Radha, Krishna, and Balaram are manifesting through our japa, through our kirtan, and through our bhajan. And Brahmananda Prabhu said that Srila Prabhupada said, when we chant, Krishna dances for trillions of miles into the material energy. So when Srila Prabhupada stepped up to Jaladuta 50 years ago and started his Hare Krishna movement, now his global form of ISKCON is all over the planet. And there's no signs of it stopping. The mission is to bestow benediction upon all. And he's the pure representative of this mission. So we've all taken millions of births in the material world. We can't change that. But in this lifetime, we cross paths with Krishna's pure devotee. He's the Guru that if you think of him, he is there. He's the Guru that will live forever in his books. He's the Guru that is non-different from his global form of ISKCON. 24/7, 365, billions of names are being chanted. 7 million plates of prasadam, millions of books on a monthly basis, millions of books are being distributed. We're preaching to 8,400,000 species on this planet. Devotees are putting Jamuna water in all the rivers and oceans and lakes and preparing the next generation by distributing any aspect of the mercy that we've received to every living entity that we can reach out to. And this is not going to stop until the last flower airplane is the last jiva steps on the flower airplane and goes home to the spiritual world. I've never understood I think that over the eternally conditioned souls, I don't understand that term because I think Lord Chaitanya means all, and that supersedes the eternally conditioned soul statement. So, in my mind, Srila Prabhupada is recreating Vaikuntha. These temples are Vaikuntha. We walk in, we associate with all these personalities in Srila Prabhupada's books on the altar, and we're giving our lives to something that's absolutely perfect. All
Thank
glories
you,
to Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sachit Tanoi, Prabhu.
Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Gaur Govinda Swami Iti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatyadi Satarine. Srila Prabhupada, I am your grand disciple, Sachita Das, and I came in my poor understanding. Well, first I say I came like a year and a half after you left. So in my poor understanding, I thought that I was cheated. That what happened? I missed the real thing. I mean, Prabhupada. And I wanted to be, after hearing and reading, that I felt like something is really missing. But that was after reading Srila Prabhupada's books and associating with devotees and getting the correct understanding, in my understanding, is that Gopi Varta Padakamalayur Dasa 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 Anudas. So I felt so confident seeing that actually I have a double mercy. I have Prabhupada and one of those genuine devotees who can guide me. Because sometimes we see people and we see each other and we think, oh, what a humble devotee. But actually, sometimes we carry, or I carry a big ego thinking that I can be, lauded over, or I can anything. So then I thought, good, that was really good. Because now I can appreciate all my peers, I can appreciate my seniors. And so that was like a good lesson for me. Then another thing that I want to just say spontaneously quick also is that thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for your Sankirtan movement that you brought Lord Chaitanya's movement to this world. And I never forget the day that one of your sincere devotees, disciples, with a lot of faith, with a lot of conviction, came and picked me up when I was at that time in my illusions. I was a travel agent. I was going all over the world doing a lot of different works, thinking that I was having a good time. But anyway, this person met me at the airport, preached to me, gave me a book, and I was so amazed about the boldness and conviction and faith that was not just satisfied with giving me the book, but actually had the urgency to bring me to the community. I was not having any plan in coming to join any religious group or join New Dwarka. I was not planning to be in Los Angeles. I had my own way of life and working and going, so-called enjoying. So thank you for these sincere disciples. They're still doing it. And thank you for allowing me also to be part of the Sankirtan movement. I am not a big contributor in this, but I feel that if you give me the mercy, I keep doing this service because I've been doing it since the time I joined until the present time. Thank you very much.
Haribo. Brajapati Das.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Gopal Krishna Goswami Tinamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasatata Satarine Om Agyanam Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakya Chakshur Unmilitamina Tasmai Shri Guru Namah. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I joined the movement in Africa. And I was just back home this year. And I remember when President Nelson Mandela came to the temple, we were not expecting, it was to our total surprise that when he walked into the temple room, he actually gave full dandavats, full pranams to Srila Prabhupada. And we were taken by surprise, because here was one of the great statesmen in the world coming first time to the temple and giving his full prostrated obeisances or pranams to Srila Prabhupada. And when he woke up, he asked, what did this man do that he is able to bring all people of different colors, different backgrounds, totally different backgrounds together? Because at that time, South Africa had just come out of apartheid. And as we recall, one of the challenges was how do we bring the people, the black people who are under apartheid for all these years, to be now loving the white people who had just taken, the black people who had just taken power. And so he was very amazed by how Srila Prabhupada actually was able to bring people of all walks of life together. And I truly feel that that was one of his very inspiring things, that that came out from a great statesman about Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada. Obviously, we know that Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada was in the mood of Patita Pavan. And so, as Para Dukkha Dukhi, if you go to New York, which I went also recently to see where our humble beginnings were, and I saw this tree under which Srila Prabhupada, Tompkins Square, started this whole movement. As the second generation, this has been handed over to us. It actually reminds me that as the congregational, as someone who is now heading the congregation in Los Angeles, I see people coming from all over the world to the temple. They may not know a single word of English, but immediately they tell you Hare Krishna, you know that they know about the Hare Krishna movement. So when we say Srila Prabhupada built a world in which the whole world can live, and that he was actually Para Dukkha Dukhi, we can see that today we are sitting here in a temple, under a roof, able to glorify a pure devotee of the Lord. When Srila Prabhupada came, there was no one. There was no one even to receive him. There was no house for us to appreciate and sit and be able to see beautiful deities. There was no prasadam. There was nothing for when Srila Prabhupada started this. A lot of us could have been discouraged. However, when Srila Prabhupada did for us is that he has created this world, and as the second generation he has handed it, and he actually did state that your true love for me will be shown by the way you cooperate with each other. So every day I am thinking, how am I cooperating with fellow devotees and whoever is coming to the doors of our temple and making sure that we're not turning them away from Srila Prabhupada. Because they are coming here not because of us, they are coming here because of what Srila Prabhupada did. But we can be very easy as a catalyst in turning them away as compared to bringing them closer. So as our duty is, I keep on pondering on this, that Srila Prabhupada may give us the energy and the appreciation as the second generation to keep on moving his great movement ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, brother. Bojadev Prabhu.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharni Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyati Deshatarni Om Jnanatamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuromnitam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha Vanchakalpatarvita Kripasanaveva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I'd like to thank all the devotees here for their good association. I'd like to thank the devotees here for their wonderful association, and especially our senior godbrothers, Giriraj Maharaj, for a wonderful Sangha. And appreciated very much the class this morning over the internet, and how Maharaj was mentioning that Prabhupada, when he was describing the appearance and disappearance of his spiritual master, he said there's no difference. So Prabhupada gave us our lives, actually, our spiritual birth, our opportunity to experience the eternal. And that says in the Krishna says in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. So this desire and hate, this duality, the ultimate duality being life and death, Prabhupada explained and showed by his life, by his teachings, how the spirit soul exists beyond this duality. So life, death, he gave us our eternal life. So like Krishna says in the 18th chapter, that Brahmabhuta Prasanatma Nasochiti Nakanchati, that when one comes to the spiritual platform, becomes very extremely spiritually happy and beyond the dualities of hankering and lamenting. So most spiritual practices maybe bring us to that point of getting beyond the duality. But Prabhupada went way beyond and taught us what is beyond that duality, not just Brahmabhuta, not just happiness free from suffering, but real happiness that comes from our constitutional position of exchanging love with the Supreme Lord and all of His creation. So like Giriraj Maharaj was saying this morning, that Prabhupada in his last pastimes, he was bringing that love out deeper and deeper from all of his disciples. Because all these other things that appear to be important are secondary compared to our opening our heart and having loving relationships with the Supreme Lord and the whole creation. So more and more I've been meditating that how trying to come out of the Kanishta platform of seeing the deity in the temple, but where Krishna says, yes, I appreciate being worshipped in the temple, but I appreciate more than that when one can see me in everyone's heart. So the test of our Krishna consciousness is really how we interact with Krishna's creation, which means everyone in it. And our relationships with each other, with everyone actually, are really a test of where we're at. They show where our consciousness is at. So Krishna is observing us from within everyone's heart. And when you see the great devotees, they have time for everyone. They're very personal. If they've known you for 20 years, they don't walk by and ignore you. They have some encouragement, some smile, something nice. So as a community of devotees, we want to encourage and aspire to that second-class platform of becoming friends with devotees, helping the innocent, worshiping the Supreme, and letting the people that are not in those three categories do what they want to do. So Prabhupada was such an example of that love, of that concern, sacrifice. We can't imagine the sacrifices that we know, but the difficulties. His whole life was an example, all from the beginning to the end. And when Maharaj was mentioning the Kaviraj, that expert Kaviraj, from what I had understood, that Kaviraj had told one of Prabhupada's disciples, that actually your spiritual master is a great personality and great yogi, and just by the fact that from what I can see, he's living in a dead body, that he's living beyond. Anyone else would have died at this point. It's only by his spiritual energy he's living in this dead body for over 2 weeks. And that was to, again, bring us closer and exhibit his pastimes and his pure love for us all. So we feel unlimitedly fortunate and grateful and ask for the blessings, the divine blessings and the eternal blessings of Srila Prabhupada, who is everyone's well-wisher, so that we can come to that platform of spontaneous loving service that will manifest our true constitutional nature and bring happiness to ourselves, to the Supreme Lord, to everyone in this world. So that's Prabhupada's gift, that he's inviting us all to that platform. And I feel very grateful for having that opportunity. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. So we just have a few minutes left. Sarvabhauma Prabhu.
Just a quick thought, how Prabhupada was perfect as a pure devotee in the perfect Brahma Gaudiya Madhya Sampradaya. But in implementing Krishna consciousness, he was not a perfectionist in a certain way. If he had been a perfectionist, the first people he stayed with in the West were the Agrawals, who were meat eaters, but Prabhupada went to their home and charmed them and began Krishna consciousness in an imperfect place. The first instrument that he played in kirtan, one of the first instruments was a bongo drum, not a madranga. So he wasn't a perfectionist in terms of music, he was a perfectionist in terms of pure devotion to Krishna. The first Rath Yatra, or one of the early Rath Yatras, I don't know, but the chariot was a pickup truck. And when Prabhupada, it's a miracle that he established deity worship in the West. But I think I read somewhere that when Prabhupada was leaving Australia after sawing the deities in Australia, he was praying that I hope please guide these milechas to take care of you properly. So Prabhupada was perfect, but he undertook used whatever he could in Krishna service. So he was very tolerant, and I just wanted to share that thought.
Jai, thank you very much, Prabhu. Jai Sarvabhauma. Swarup Damodar, Prabhu. Swarup Damodar is traveling with Giriraj Maharaj, and he's a very nice preacher from South Africa.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna. Recently in a course that we were studying on Guru and Disciple, ISKCON Disciples course, a very nice section came up on Srila Prabhupada's position as an empowered representative of Lord Chaitanya. And for me, going through that quite an intense course, that was by far the most inspiring part of it, where the compilers developed a whole series of evidences of how Srila Prabhupada actually is this very extraordinary empowered representative of Lord Chaitanya. Very wonderful Shastric quotes. One was mentioned earlier, Prativiti Achayata Nagaradi Gram, and statements of various great devotees, Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, establishing him as an Shaktavesh avatar, Kenshana Krishna's Babaji Maharaj, whom Prabhupada said was a Paramahamsa, glorifying Prabhupada on a very amazing level, that never was there an Acharya on this level that has ever appeared before. So like that, it was so amazing to hear how Prabhupada, this person who created the society that we are all intimately living in, serving in, is this most amazing personality, an empowered representative of Lord Chaitanya. So when we see that, we get this idea of this huge personality that is larger than life, so difficult to approach. But then when we come down to our existence and hearing His Holiness Giriraj Swami Maharaj's class this morning, of how Prabhupada, even though being such an extraordinary person, is intimately connected with each and every devotee, drawing out or desiring to draw out the love from our hearts for him, for each other, and for Krishna. It's really amazing that such a huge personality, but so personal with each and every one of us. That is most extraordinary in every respect. And after this morning's program, I was just sharing with His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj of how special this new Dwarka Yatra Dham is, that it's filled with so many amazing senior Vaishnavas, senior disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who, in my estimation, from where I am situated in Krishna consciousness, are worshipable for me. And they are all so much in love with Srila Prabhupada in their most simple, humble, genuine spirit. And I find that to be one of the most greatest aspects of Srila Prabhupada in my life, that here is this empowered representative of Prabhupada, so larger than life, but yet at the same time so personal and so intimately connected with each and every one of us. And today, with the blessings of all the senior Vaishnavas, all the Vaishnavas here, I pray that that realization can be firmly embedded in my heart, and that love for Prabhupada, love for the devotees will be drawn out as well. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai. So literally we have about 3 minutes before we do the Pushpanjali. So we're going to ask Giriraj Maharaj to finish up our morning. Surprise. Thank you, Maharaj.
One point that different devotees have made was how personal Srila Prabhupada was. And on so many occasions when he had darshan, that means he would, from, at least in Juhu, from 4 to 5 in the afternoon, anyone could come into his room and see him. And sometimes I would be sitting up close to him and looking at him, and suddenly his eyes would open wide and he'd break into this huge smile. And I would think, wow, I wonder who just walked into the room. It was like he was seeing his long-lost brother, and it was someone who we never saw before, someone who just walked in. But Prabhupada related to the person and greeted him like that. And once, I saw the same expression on Srila Prabhupada's face in his garden here. And I turned to see who it was or what it was, and it was a devotee bringing Tulsi Devi into the garden. And he was like so excited, and he said, just by the presence of Tulsi Devi, the whole atmosphere is sanctified. But one thought I wanted to share, I got it, I think, from Sachi Tanoy Prabhu's talk, was the value of Shiksha gurus. Once I went to visit Tamal Krishna Goswami in Dallas, and at that time I was pretty sort of confined to Mauritius and South Africa, and I felt that I wasn't getting enough association of peers, of God brothers. And so I mentioned to him, actually he began by saying that people tell him that, with all of your association with Srila Prabhupada, and your 3 initiations from him, first, second, and sannyas, they would expect that would be enough. And Tamal Krishna Goswami said, it's not enough. It's not enough. We need Shiksha gurus. And then he named about, 10 or 12 God brothers who he considered to be his Shiksha gurus. And another time when I was I was staying at Govardhan, and His Holiness Sachinandan Swami was staying at Radhakund, and he had a very severe Nam Vrat. I mean, he didn't say how many holy names a day he was chanting, but a lot. He hardly had any time for anything else. But one day he made some time for me. And first he said that he had been chanting so many rounds, but he felt he wasn't getting access to the holy name. And he thought, what could he do? And then he thought he had to do some menial service. So he started to sweep the area around Radhakund in the middle of the night when no one would see him and applaud him. And then he spoke about sadhu sangha, as defined by Rupa Goswami, svatovare, someone more advanced sadhus. And he was saying that some people think you have to go outside of ISKCON for sadhu sangha, but he didn't agree, because and he didn't want sadhu sangha not outside of the line of Srila Prabhupada. And that idea of associating with a more advanced devotee, or more advanced devotees, could be fulfilled by our attitude of humility. He said, like, he was speaking about himself, I see this as sadhu sangha. I'm associating with Giriraj Swami. He's more advanced than I am, and I can learn from him. And Giriraj Swami is thinking, I'm associating with Sachinandan Swami. He's more advanced than I am. I can learn from him. And so that condition of sadhu sangha can and should be fulfilled in ISKCON among the followers of Srila Prabhupada. And by seeing ourselves as our actual position, Gopi Bhartu Padakamalaya, or Dasa Dasa Anudasa, servant of the servant of the servant. And for us, especially in the line of Srila Prabhupada. And he is present, his deity, his books, his temples, and his devotees. And one other thought that just came to mind, not quite sure why, but so one day in Dallas, this is after Tamal Krishna Goswami had left, I was thinking, I'm like pretty slow. I'm going to need more time to finish up. I'm just going too slow. And it was in the days leading up to, maybe just the day before Tamal Krishna Goswami's Vyasa Puja. So I went into the temple room, and there was a devotee reading from a little book called, I think, TKG Memories, that Sarvabhauma Prabhu compiled. So there was a section called something like Purveyor of Good News, that Tamal Krishna Goswami liked to present good news. And the example was that Prabhupada told him something, and then he went out and told everyone else, Prabhus, I have great news for you. Srila Prabhupada just said that Krishna wants all of us to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. And he's so intent on that if we're not ready, he will extend our lives beyond their, ordinarily destined end, to give us enough time so that we can finish up in this lifetime. So I might be living for quite a few years on that promise, but that is good news. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Prabhus, now we're going to do Pushpanjali. We're going to ask everyone if you could please move up to Srila Prabhupada's Vyasasan. And everyone will get some flowers. We want to make 3 offerings, so make sure you have enough for 3 offerings. And we would also ask if you could please refrain from throwing it on the deity. Please repeat. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalang Sri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Hastyatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnuvaraya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Sri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhuyojjvala Premadya Sri Rupanuga Bhaktira Sri Gaura Karana Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Srimurtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Advanta Harine Namo Gaurakishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipralamba Rasambode Padambujaya Te Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchid Ananda Namine Gaura Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Parayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumes Tvam Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Sri Jagannataya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Tvishe Namaha Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikakanta Radhakanta Namostute Jayatam Surato Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasva Padambojo Radha Madana Mohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpa Drumada Srimad Ratnagara Sringhasanasto Srimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prestalibi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasa Rasarambi Vanksivata Tatastitaha Karshan Venu Swanar Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunaha Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasavadale Shrimati Bhagavatam Swami Namaste Saraswati Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine Esha Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasavadale Shrimati Saraswati Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastata Deshatarine Ishva Pushpanjali Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Want to take over? Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada. Samsara davan halalira loka trunaya karuna ganaganadvam. Samsara davan halalira loka Trunaya Karuna Ganaganadvam. Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guroshi Charanaravinda. Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guroshi Charanarvindam. Mahaprabhu ki